about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we have to stick to that time frame.
No, that's fine.
Also, I know you also have been given
Hi, Tombi.
a time frame, and I need you to stick to that.
Sorry, Tombi.
Yes?
We've just gone live now.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Yes. Can we
all everybody.
Put on our earphones to avoid
Yes.
the earphones?
All right. Wonderful. Let's get started. Good morning to the graduates that have joined this year's virtual career Indaba. We're doing things a little differently this year, and I think we are all aware of what's happening across the globe. We're dealing with a pandemic, and this has changed how we work, how we socialize, how we eat, how we play, and how we have fun, And so I'm hoping that the tips that will be shared on this platform will give our graduates the tools and the skills that they need in order to, get into the workplace equipped. So we've got industry players, industry leaders that know the game very well. And I'm hoping that you'll be generous with your, advice, your insight, so that we empower these graduates to equip them to deal with the changing workplace that we're dealing with at the moment. All right, fantastic. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to share. Please feel free to, ask any questions. This is an open platform. We are here to learn, All right, so let me just give you a bit of background about myself. My name is Ntombi Phiri. I am a qualified radio journalist. I am currently with the public broadcaster, the SABC. Don't ask me anything about where the money is. I don't know where it is. I just work there, and I am a seasoned broadcaster. So I've been down this road of looking for a job, and I'm sure we all have been down that road where you type a CV, you've got your qualification with the hopes that your CV will grab someone's attention, hopefully the company that you want. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. And that's why we, the people who have the insight, will give the tips and the skills needed in order for that CV to grab the attention, and the do's and the don'ts. Fantastic. So first things first, the man that is supposed to join us right now, following the program, is Vusi Tembagwayo. He is a venture capitalist, a global business speaker, a serial entrepreneur, as well as an author, a man who has shaken the table on social media. I follow him, and he is very unapologetic about his opinions, very unapologetic about his thoughts and what he says. He doesn't mince his words. And he is the perfect guest to join us right now to talk to us about the ever-changing dynamic of the workplace and how a graduate can, navigate that space. So we are waiting for Uvusi to join us. To the graduates that are sitting on this virtual career Indaba, on social media, please use the hashtag virtual career Indaba so that everybody else can join us and learn as much as they possibly can. I see Leilani is making notes. I'm hoping that our graduates also have a pen and paper to take as much notes as they possibly can.
And Dombi, I just posted something there for Carney. Someone posted on my page, she's struggling to join. Is there a link? Must they go to Carney's website?
Yes, there is a link. I would direct them to the Think Career social media page.
I think they can join from there.
Posts. Yes, and they can find a link there so that they can join in.
Sure. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Hi, Dombi. This is Kani. And hi, everyone. We just checked with Vusi now. He's going to connect as soon as possible. So I think as a way of introduction to the people who've just joined us today, I see so far we've got 27 people who've joined us online, and we just want to say a warm welcome. And we're really, really excited to host this particular event, or rather initiative, to make sure that we create access to career seekers, graduates. We've got a lot to share with everyone today. The different speakers will be sharing not only information to inspire or motivate, but it will be more information to be able to use in terms of preparing for your career opportunities, or rather to prepare for this particular time that we find ourselves in, where employers are actually not employing. From an education point of view, everyone is focusing on trying to access learning online. And we just find that this particular event would be opportune to really share the many opportunities that are out there. And we do understand that there's a lot of information available on the net, but how do we actually bring about this information so that it's packaged, it's easier to digest, and you'll hear from the different speakers today when they actually share with us some of the most important thing that we, some of the information that can be accessed. So it's not only about information. The purpose of today is for people to take with them things that they can action at the end of this webinar. So it's not really about trying to inspire and encourage or anything. Maybe, yes, it's part of that. The purpose of today is also part of that. But we want people to be able to walk away with something that they can action in their everyday lives. So I see Vusi just joined us now. So I'm just going to hand over to Dombi to do the necessary introductions. Vusi, if you can, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. If you can, could you please put on your headphones if possible, because it does, the system does sort of project a bit of an echo. But thank you so much for joining us.
I've already got a microphone attached to this.
Awesome. I can't see. I'm over 40.
Well, the man is here. Very excited to have you, Vusi Tembagwayo. And I know at Radio 2000 we get very excited when we have guests like yourselves. You are a very, how shall I say it, a man who does not mince his words. And sometimes it gets you into a lot of trouble. I follow you on Twitter, and I've seen the trouble and the tables that you constantly shake all the time. And that's what we need. We need someone like you who does not mince his words, who is very bold, who's very outspoken. And, in this program that I have, you are described as a venture capitalist, a global business seeker, a serial entrepreneur, as well as an author. And I think the thing that's missing from that intro is the fact that you are truly an inspiring young man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
what I think are probably three of the most important tools for any particular person trying to develop a career, any particular person trying to build a name and a reputation. And I think at the end of the day, for me, the single most important part of building your own career really is actually just about building your reputation. Now, if you ever wonder what it is that is a reputation, it's in effect that which is said that precedes you entering the room. So the stuff that people will say and how people will remember and reflect on your participation before you're in the room, that's your reputation. And I think a lot of us don't often think about how do we build that and why that's important. So I'll just share with you very quickly how I've done it, which I think is important, right? In the world of commodity where we live today, a lot of the things that we saw accelerated your growth path and kind of the direction that your life went through. Well, that's not necessarily the case now, because everybody and his mother can now get an MBA, really. And so you then want to really think about, so how do you differentiate? For me, I think there have been three things, and I'll share them with you very quickly. The most important has been, as I build my career, how do I make sure that I have character? And I think, we talk about people who exude a particular aura about them. That's not quite what character is. Character is a singularity of person and personality, regardless of the circumstances. And I do think that that's something that's going to become a premium. I do think that that's something that you can build your career on. And I do think that that's something that will gravitate people towards you. But more importantly, it's definitely something that will accelerate the path that you walk. Because we do live in a time today where character is very few and far between. So what is character? I think it was Dr. Miles Monroe that said character. That, the reason letters are called characters, so A is A, B is B, C is C, is because it doesn't matter which season you write down the letter A is always A. It doesn't matter where in the world you write down the letter Z is always Z. And it doesn't matter what time of the day you write down the letter W is always W. We live in a time today where people in positions of power and leadership blend themselves and mold themselves for the environment they're in. And that's precisely what is a part of the problem. For me, what's worked in building my own career and what I would advise in building yours is to have a singularity of character. That means that you hold true the values that you hold true. You stand by those values. And it does, to your point, it does often, sometimes you're going to end up in trouble, right? But I would far rather land in trouble for speaking my truth. I'm open to being educated, but it's my truth, than to speak and say what people want to hear at a point in time. So the first is character. The second is conviction, which is, what are you believing? Whether you call it, what is your why? What is the purpose around which you want to build your career? But there's got to be a sense of conviction there. And that sense of conviction is important because actually often for me, that's been the only thing that's kept me going. Many people don't know this, but when I started our current firm, my venture capital firm, we had some difficult times in the early days. And I read a phenomenal book called Grit, which I would recommend for everybody. And I realized how the things that I was going through are actually a part of the cycle in building a career and in building a business, right? And so you've got to have conviction, something you leave it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're building a trade, and you try to make sure that it's migrate in your own space.
All right, it seems like we're having some technical issues with Vusi Tembagwayo. We are going to try and connect with him a bit later on. Thank you so much to the graduates that have decided to spend, a good portion of their morning with us. Hopefully, when you're done with this webinar, you'll be equipped, inspired, as well as ready to enter the ever-changing workplace. We have other speakers that we are expecting to speak. We've got Dr. T, fondly known as Dr. T. That's Dr. Thabo Mashungwane, who is a CEO at the National Skills Authority. And yes, we've got Vusi. Vusi, can you hear me? All right, we are still trying to connect with him. I'm, kind of giving you an idea of who is expected to come after the force that is Vusi. We have Vusi. Vusi, can you hear me? All right, we'll be connecting with him shortly. We are winning. I can see him. We'll be connecting with him. All right, if you are on social media, please use the hashtag virtual career Indaba. I'm very excited about what's going to happen towards the end of this webinar. We are going to offer great opportunities for graduates, and that is going to be announced towards the ends. This is actual tools that you can use in order to enter the workplace. We're still trying to connect with Vusi. What a powerful and inspiring man. Some of his thoughts, some of the things that he says it does get him into trouble, a lot of trouble. But he speaks about conviction. He speaks about character, which is something that you need to have in order to be in a working environment. You have to have character, and we're still trying to connect with Vusi. He sends his apology. He says, "My deepest apologies for the cutoff." Such things happen, and we will get it right. We will get it right. Let me talk to you about the other speakers that we are expecting. Like I said, Dr. Thabo Mashungwane will be joining us after Vusi. And then we've got Gwena Mabuja, who is Next Gen's director, the African region. She will be joining us as well. And then we've also got Ustembiso Pagat, who will be joining us as well. He is the director at Deloitte Consulting, Human Capital. So very excited about that. We are going to be talking about the ever-changing and the evolution that's currently happening in the workplace. That's going to be our chat with Ustembiso Pagati. Another speaker that is bright, very excited about today's chat is Lelani Janse van Rensburg. She's an executive manager, regional operations in Productivity SA. She'll be joining us as well. So it's a jam-packed, Indaba, where you are definitely going to be left inspired. We are still trying to connect with Vusi. Again, please use the hashtag virtual career Indaba and invite other people as well to join this conversation. And it's going to be one that is very powerful, impactful. And by the end of our conversations, you will definitely be equipped with tools and skills to navigate the ever-changing and the evolution of the world of work. I was telling you a bit about Lelani Janse van Rensburg, who's the executive manager, regional operations at Productivity SA. She'll also be one of the speakers as well. I like the little outfit that she has on. Looking very pretty. Another person that I'm excited to hear is Olsa Pakri, who is talent management lead at Sanlam. Very excited about your session, Olsa. Very excited about that. And there's also going to be Usiya Madibi, who is the executive director at Microsoft at the corporate, external, and legal affairs. He's also going to be joining us this morning. So like I said, it's a very jam-packed program. And, you know, we're having technical issues with Vusi, but we will try and get him and connect with him because his message was truly inspiring. All right, it seems like we're struggling with Vusi, so we're going to move on to our next speaker. He is Dr. Thabo Mashingwani, fondly known as Dr. T. He's the CEO at National Skills Authority, and he'll be basically giving us insight on, you know, the Department of Higher Training and Education. He'll be joining us shortly. That's Dr. Thabo Mashingwani, the CEO at National Skills Authority. If you have any questions, and I am specifically directing this to the people that are our graduates, that are the sole focus of this virtual career Indaba, please feel free to ask those questions. And towards the end, or when we do have time, I'll direct those questions to the individuals that have the answers. All right, we are going to move on to our next speaker. I hope he's ready. He looks ready. Sthembiso Phakathi. We're swiftly moving on to him.
Sthembiso Phakathi. Are we there already?
We are there already. You seem like a man who's ready. And now we're going to pass the microphone over to you. Now, Sthembiso Phakathi is the director.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
All right, let me give you an intro quickly. Sthembiso Phakathi is a director of human capital at Deloitte Consulting. He is ready to give us an impactful message of how our graduates can navigate the evolution of the world of work. Take it away, Sthembiso.
Thank you so much, Sister Ntombi. I don't know if I just want to see if I can share my screen real quick. Let's have a look. Okay. There. Okay. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Hopefully it's coming. Let's have a look.
There it is.
Okay. I just want to go. All right. Still can see? Yeah. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the graduates. Good morning to the fellow speakers. I'm going to talk very briefly about the emerging future skills. As Dombi introduced myself, I work at Deloitte. I'm a director there, looking after organizational transformation. I just want to come down to these figures. I would like, hopefully the audience can see. There is a shift in the future of work. You can see at the top there, on the top, some of the figures at the top, that a lot of people are basically surprised by the level of workforce engagement during the pandemic. As an example, 3 out of 4 CFOs actually are basically saying that there's about 20% of the people that were previously working in a fixed environment that are shifting to remote working. The other surprising statistic in Tombi and my colleagues is that actually we did not foresee this, that actually employee engagement is going to be high, especially for employees that have moved to flexible working, about 60 to 80% of them, which is quite another interesting statistic. And the research also shows that most companies are shifting from a 5-day week to a 4-day week. And surprisingly, productivity actually increases as companies actually move to 40 or less than 40-hour week or a 4-day week, which is quite surprising. So it means as people move to balancing their private lives with work life is actually improving productivity. You can see the statistic at the bottom there. And I think the other key thing, colleagues, is that when you augment your business digitally and you become digitally efficient, and then you become future fit. I want to come down to some of the evolution that we are seeing, that the type of skills that the workforce is beginning to look at are very different. I think between 3 and 12 weeks, we saw a lot of companies responding to the pandemic. I think now we are moving to a place where people are reimagining how they're going to actually return to work. We look at this as a recovery period or a reboot period. I think what's important with this recovery period is that organizations are beginning to rethink about how they want to re-engage or engage the workforce, and also redesigning the workplace. As you can imagine, most of the companies have got about 20% of the workforce sitting in the head office. But out of the 20% of the workforce, about 15% are going to actually need to come back to the office. So think about how they're going to reconfigure and redesign the workplace, because not everyone is going to return to work. And again, the new normal, as you can see, a lot of people can work remotely, and then a lot of people can actually work flexibly. So a lot of organizations are going to rethink about how they engage the workforce, how their workforce collaborates, and then how they actually reintegrate back to the workplace. The last thing on that page is around thriving. I think as we prepare for the new normal, we are rethinking a lot of things: collaboration techniques, the types of capabilities that are emerging, and then how the businesses are going to actually support resilience and maintain adaptability. So that's going to require a different set of skills. At the bottom there, you can see that organizations may choose to actually do nothing, and some may choose to actually adapt the way they work and then adopt new ways of working. Actually, on the next page, I begin to talk about some of these disruptors. You'll see on the left-hand side that there are external factors that are basically forcing us to rethink about skills, workforce, and capabilities. I almost want to touch about digital growth as well as changing customer behavior. A lot of people on this call would agree that customers are now beginning to explore different ways of buying products and services. And some are actually moving to online channels. and some people that want to buy food are actually not moving or walking into restaurants, and they are looking to actually request deliveries to their houses or wherever they are. So consumer or customer behavior is changing fundamentally. But in the middle of your slide of the page, you'll see that the key thing that leaders are looking to think about progressively is around capability or skill. So as they reimagine how they're going to sustain their businesses, they are now beginning to look at which capabilities are going to sustain businesses, and then which skills are going to be requisite to actually build and then sustain growth. And of course, there are other things like processes and policies, business model design, and things like that. But critically, to the leaders that are basically owning this responsibility during this time is around capability. You will see on the far right that the intersection of workplace, and workforce is going to be critical, because those things are shifting in an amazing fashion as we move to the thriving phase. I want to talk briefly around choices. I think in the beginning of April or thereabout, a lot of companies had to have a choice. As we deal with this pandemic, we have a choice of doing nothing or just sitting on the sidelines and see the world evolve and change before our faces. Or we can actually adopt new ways of working. And look at the stuff on the left-hand side there. There's about 8 or so things that we can actually begin to embrace as we move into a new culture, into a new setting. My favorite today is around connecting and being ready to connect with your colleagues and with your customers virtually, the way we are doing now, and being visible every day. And visibility doesn't mean you have to walk into the office and hug each other and be actually in the same physical space. The other one, Tombi, that's my favorite on that list, is around being able to disconnect. A lot of our clients are saying to me, actually, people are now working long hours. They do not determine when the day starts, when the day stops, because they've got Zoom fatigue or online collaboration fatigue and the like. So I think what we are finding is that most customers are having difficulty to actually disconnect with their workforce and with their clients because of the way we are working now. In the middle of the page, we need to learn to embrace new tools, new policies, and possibly think about reimagining and reworking our processes as well. And then we talk about social connection. Social connection is not really about, of course, working in the same space, but also maintaining that connection with your workforce, colleagues, and customers. And then, of course, leveraging on collaboration platforms like the one we are using, Zoom. There are so many platforms today that people are beginning to use. And again, graduates, employees, and leaders are going to need different types of skills to embrace and use those collaboration tools. And the second last thing I want to touch on, Tombi, is how the jobs are changing. I think graduates that are dialing in or that are on the line will know that a lot of jobs are now beginning to think about how future skills are going to look like. I'm using 2 types of jobs here as an example. The left-hand side one is around maybe supervisors and machine installers, and the right-hand side, the far right, is around maintenance repair or maintenance worker. And the dark line is the current skills, and then the green line is the future skills. You can see for a maintenance or for a supervisor, rather, on the left-hand side, suddenly physical space is shrinking, and you can see the types of skills that are being critical now, that are being enhanced, is around accessing, assessing, and monitoring, as well as problem solving and decision making. And you don't need to be in the same physical space to acquire those skills. On the right-hand side, you will also notice that for a maintenance worker, again, monitoring skills and problem-solving skills are becoming paramount or very, very critical for the future. And you can see also the physical capabilities are not going to be that critical. You will also notice that I think I always say to my clients that some of these skills you are not taught at university or at colleges or at business schools. Problem-solving skills and decision-making skills are taught at work, when you work with people, or when you do shadow training, or when and they are actually acquired at the workplace. So this picture is basically saying to us that if we have to be relevant in the future as graduates, as employees, as practitioners, as line managers, as leaders, we're going to have to understand and accept that the different types of skills are going to be needed, and not necessarily, and you can see also interpersonal skills are going to be paramount, but not as important and as critical as problem solving and monitoring skills. I want to close by an example again of a job, and a lot of colleagues of ours are beginning to say, actually, we need to design jobs and think about outcomes and modality. A lot of people on this call would probably agree that traditionally we know of job profiles that are 4 pages long or even 5 pages long because they focus on activities and tasks. But in the middle of the screen, you'll see this job canvas is beginning to focus on responsibilities, future skills, and a day in a life of, as well as tools and technology that the job is going to need to use. If you notice very carefully, there is nothing on that picture in the middle of the screen that talks about past experience, knowledge, and qualifications. Why? Because these are not going to be critical moving forward. What's going to be critical moving forward is the skill level, the skill types, and then understanding what future skills and the technologies that the job is going to have to learn to use. We always talk about human beings collaborating and working with machines. And then in the future, those are the types of skills that are going to be required. I think AI or artificial intelligence, it's not displacing jobs, but it's creating an opportunity for people to learn to work with machines and not replace human beings, not machines replacing human beings. On the right-hand side, we emphasize on 2 things. Modality is really about agility and flexibility, but jobs in the future are going to focus on work outcomes. Whether you're working 3 days in a week, 4 days in a week, or 5 days in a week, what organizations are beginning to measure is business or work outcomes, not the inputs. The inputs on the left-hand side, the inputs in the job are not going to be critical moving forward because we understand that workforces are beginning to work flexibly. Big takeaways for me as I close is 5 things. And again, I've talked about the job redesign. The super jobs really, and again, we always say super jobs and job sharing is going to be something that we're going to get used to because, and again, people working with technology is going to be the critical skill. Number 2, talent reskilling, whether you have to be sent to learn new skills or you have to learn them at work, but this continuous learning, developing new skills, new capabilities is going to be critical. And I think I touched very, very briefly on workforce re-engineering or workforce redesign because people are beginning to appreciate that we need to understand teaming. We talk about freelancing, we're talking about alternative workforce types because people are basically saying, why must I stay in a payroll of a company if I can work for 3 or 4 companies in a month in a flexible fashion? There's the second last thing is around team reconstruction or team redesign. I think again, more people are beginning to realize that the value of a job is around how people work together in an ecosystem as opposed to measuring individual job outputs. And lastly, the human experience. Sometimes we talk about employee experience. There's a big refresh around understanding that at work we want to make sure that we've got that human touch. At Deloitte, we talk about social enterprise. That the social enterprise is not about CSI, it's about making sure that organizations make impact on society as a whole, not just to their customers and the ecosystem. Thank you so much. I will end there. I think the way forward is looking very, very different. Is because it's going to foster flexible working and it's going to foster adaptable organizations. So those are if you cannot adapt, some of the organizations, as we can see now, are not going to come back because they've not taken advantage of the disruptors that we see today. Thank you so much. I will end there.
Thank you so much.
Happy to take questions at the back. No problem.
Yes. I was about to open the opportunity for our graduates to ask questions. And Ustembiso will definitely be able to answer if you are maybe specifically focusing on one area of his presentation. Please send those questions and I'll definitely ask those questions on your behalf. So let's move on over to Dr. T. He joins us and we are moving to him. Now, Dr. T, also known as Dr. Thabo Mashungwane, is a CEO at National Skills Authority. And basically, we are reimagining the workplace. Things are changing and they're changing in a very fast pace. How we learn, how we socialize, how we work has completely changed. Dr. T, I'm going to offer you the platform. Please speak to our graduates.
Good morning, Tombi. Good morning, co-panelists, and good morning, all the graduates who are here. I'm going to be sharing my presentation with you. And as I'm doing that, let me start off by, can you come this side? Let me start off by the quote from the economist, that is Stephen Tobin, who's the executive director of the Ottawa-based Labour Market Information Council, who then urges that we have to face the future with more objective data and planning than we had before, as this will help us to prepare for some level of uncertainty and for future of employment shifts from the familiar. So with these words, let me then thank Mayor Kani Mhlongo for inviting me. And by the way, she is the member of the National Skills Authority representing interests of employment services. So she is well placed to really assist in this space. The National Skills Authority is a body, so as everybody understands, is a statutory body appointed to advise the Minister for Higher Education and Training on all skills development matters, that is from policy level to strategy. And I would actually encourage the graduates to visit our website, which will obviously be shown in my last slides. However, you can also access information from the website of Department for Higher Education and Training. I'm not sure whether my slide is coming through.
Not as yet, Dr. T.
Not as yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me then move on, as I'm still struggling to connect with my slide. I must apologize upfront that I actually missed the first presentation, as it has been on the background stage. Now I want to, just to add to what Thembiso said, because I don't want to repeat what he said. Basically, there are similarities in terms of our presentation. But I want to start with 5 foundational skills, which of course are important for us to take note in this current situation we find ourselves in. Now, there is they have value. The value of these 5 foundational skills, it is meant to assist us in transitioning the workers to remain resilient as the labor market evolves. Now, the skills composition of occupations projected to grow in their share of employment by 2030. There is some shifts. And the first foundational skills, is it there? Can everybody see my presentation?
Yes, the screen is showing your presentation, Dr. T.
Okay. I just want, because I want to skip these slides and move to other slides. Okay. Okay, let me move. Okay. All right. It looks like I moved very fast. I first want to start with the, okay. It's moving a bit slow. This is courtesy of Deloitte. I guess he'll be very happy to see this slide. Okay, to just assist me moving here, because I seem to have a problem of the slides are not moving. All right, I'll move on to these 5 foundational skills. The first one is service orientation. It will come later on the screen. The service orientation refers to being the kind of worker who actively looks for ways to help. In other words, we are not going to be bound to only waiting for your supervisor or your line manager to actually tell you what to do. You must then avail your services. And number 2, it is the instructing part of it, so as we are able to coach and mentor and train others, especially in this world of just-in-time learning and constantly changing technology. The third one will be persuasion. We need to have this aptitude of for changing others' minds and behavior. So as, in other words, can you influence other people's opinions and behavior in a place of work? Number 3 is fluency of ideas, is ability to brainstorm, and is considered essential of the 70% of occupations, particularly the creative industries and the sciences. And the last one is memorization. We really need to have an ability to recall terms and numbers in details. I mean, an example can be in the health sciences. I am struggling with my presentation, but I guess that this will also be shared with you. In a medical science faculty, one has to remember, a nurse has to remember exactly the processes and the procedures in terms of doing her work in attending to the sick. Now, these 5 foundational skills are quite key to all of us, and I take that graduates should really grasp and understand them. And then there are also other factors to consider post-COVID-19 in the new scheme of things, which, of course, one of them is creativity. Creativity is a mandatory skill in order to turn out workers who can innovate and solve problems. Stembiso spoke about working from home and attending to many other issues. You will not necessarily have somebody next to you to hold your hand, but then if you are creative enough, you'll find good ways of resolving problems. I like to make this illustration and example from the big book, the Bible. There was once upon a time a young man called David, who then had to visit his brothers who were obviously in a battlefield. Now, when David arrives in the battlefield, he was confronted by a giant called Goliath. And obviously, this man was looking down upon his God and his brothers and his nations. He didn't like it. And what he did was to say, I'm going to challenge this person. Now, the experienced people such as Saul and others looked down upon him and said, no, you are not going able to attend, to try this giant because he's well experienced. But then David used new creative methods. He tried fitting the clothes, the normal things, the normal tools of carrying out the job of fighting. He couldn't fit into those, and he realized these are no longer appropriate. Given the situation, he then had to be creative, and we know what happened in the story. So in other words, you then have to be creative beyond their perceptions and what people are thinking about you. Number two, we really need to consider the challenges, the climate changes that are going to be impacting the entire globe. We will know of wildfires, the floods, the mudslides everywhere. Now, in South African context, we then have to be saying, what are the possibilities of climate change in our country? And what is it that I, as a graduate, obviously future employee or an employer, how do I prepare myself for such issues? Then we really need also to say, I'm not going to be talking about digital detox because Tembiso talked about that issue. We also need to be understanding the work-life integration. He also emphasized the fatigue that we experience because of the virtual or remote work, and to extend that we work long hours at home. So we really need to balance and have boundaries between the work and the rest of life, so as we don't keep blame. Now, I will not necessarily talk to all the slides, but I have actually shared them so as you have at leisure time to go through everything that is contained in there. Now, as a graduate, you need to join the Fight Back campaign. In other words, apply for an internship or seek out volunteering opportunities. Don't sit back. Do whatever you can. He spoke about getting connected, so as we are able to know what is it that is taking place in a particular space. You also need to step up your learning, as well as the wealth of resources is available online. Access upskilling programs that are offered freely by many other institutions. And then stay in touch. He also mentioned the question of stay in touch. It's important that as a graduate, you then stay in touch. Now, we are saying there are opportunities. The crisis could present an opportunity for governments to support the recovery through infrastructure investment, supporting green, digital, or more sustainable economies. You need to be saying, 2 years or 3 years from now on, the economy is going to recover, and it is going to be expected of us to have such skills that can address the pending challenges, the demand that are there, and the potential needs during that happened during the pandemic. So we are looking forward to possible products such as semiconductors, IT services are likely to be one of such areas as data utilization and digitalization needs have generated demands. So as a graduate, I definitely encourage you to say, stay in touch, get connections, upskill yourself all the time, so as you remain relevant, and not only as an employee, but as a future employer. Thank you very much, and apologies that my screen would not move, but then I have shared the presentation with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. T. We will definitely make that slide presentation available for your perusal so that you can look through it, read, and take in as much information from that slide. Thank you so much, Dr. T. That was Dr. Thabo Mashungwane, the CEO of National Skills Authority. One of the things that he spoke about that speaks true to my career journey to broadcasting was volunteering. I think we take volunteering as some sort of exploitation, which is not the case. On my journey to the public broadcaster, the SABC, I had to volunteer at a community radio station, and while I was volunteering, I was able to get so many skills that I never got from university. So it's very important for one to volunteer. So yes, those are some of the gems that I got from Dr. T. We're going to move on over to our next speaker. She is looking absolutely wonderful. She is ready. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Leilani Janse van Rensburg, who is the Executive Manager, Regional Operations at Productivity SA.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity, and graduates, thank you for taking the time to listen to us as we share our pearls of wisdom, but also share opportunities with you so that you know that you're not alone. I think one of the scariest things in life is to realize that you don't know where to get information from, and we've all been there. So I think ultimately from productivity, I'm also going to share my screen with you and my presentation with you, but I'm not going to go through all the slides. I've asked that this information, you can just indicate to me when the screen is ready, so that my information is shared with you afterwards. But I just want to take you through what Productivity SA is and what we have on offer. You can just tell me if my screen is showing. Okay, I'm just sharing a screen with you. Let's just quickly. Okay, whilst I'm waiting for that screen to come through, there we go. That's the right one. Just trying to share it. Okay, I am from Productivity SA, and as I was introduced, I'm the Regional Executive of Operations at Productivity SA. There seems to be something wrong with my screen sharing, but it's not a problem. The presentation will be shared with you, and I'll take you through it. Now, Productivity SA is an institution. We are funded by the government, the Department of Labour, and it is our role to improve productivity in South Africa. Now, one would think if someone had to ask me maybe 10 or 15 years ago, what is productivity? I would think, why do you ask? I mean, why would you want to know? But productivity is a very important thing, because if you can measure your own productivity, you can see, are you actually achieving your objectives or are you wasting time? Now, time is something that if you waste it, you can never get it back. So it is ultimately very important to understand that you as a graduate, you as a potential employer, loved our previous speaker on the potential employers of tomorrow, you're sitting out there and you need to understand what productivity is and that you cannot waste your own time. Now, productivity is what ultimately, if you look at putting something in, let's say you have an objective, you want to achieve a sales target, what you put in is not necessarily your productivity. Your productivity is what you get out of the situation. What is the outcome of the situation? So input is important, but your productivity level is how is your input equated into output at the end of the day. So as graduates sitting here today, Productivity SA on our website, we have service offerings looking at various aspects of the business value chain. I see there we go with the screen. So if you can just go to the next slide, if you don't mind. You can sort of skip to the third slide. But anyway, we have various programs at Productivity SA looking at the business value chain. Now, one would think, why associate with an entity like us, and why is there an entity like us? It is ultimately to improve South Africa's competitiveness. Competitiveness in a country ultimately leads to investment. It is how strong you become as a country. And if you are not very competitive, or if your competitiveness rating falls as a country, this is not necessarily a good thing for businesses within the country. So if we are not competitive, with each other and we are not deemed as being competitive, then we do not move up in this rating, and then the country ultimately is not considered a competitive country, and ultimately the productivity level is linked to the investment in the country. So in a nutshell, productivity is very, very important. Now, if you link productivity to you as graduates, I'm going to just look at 3 programs at Productivity SA. One is called the Champions Program. Now, Productivity SA has a program that is very highly subsidized by government, and that looks at improving productivity of an individual. So you go through a training program, and then ultimately you can then improve someone else's productivity. So you can then coach and mentor them in their day-to-day activity to become a more productive citizen, to become a more productive business person, to become a more productive individual as a whole. Now, productivity leads to productivity. So then these champions are unleashed in businesses. And when they go into these businesses, they ultimately improve the productivity of those businesses, and then they become more productive. And you can see the link in the chain. But one has to be convinced it's a mindset thing, productivity. It has to be in your heart. You have to understand the principles thereof. And this is what we do as an entity, Productivity SA. We take a person, we take them through a champions program, and then ultimately unleash them in businesses. So this is one program that we have. But we have many. If you're looking at starting a business, Productivity SA does not write your business plan. We don't do that. We are partners with the likes of CEDA, CIFA, LEADER, all of the entities that look at this type of thing. What we do is we measure your productivity levels in your business to see where your bottlenecks are. Because sometimes you just put in so much in a business and ultimately you can't understand why you're not making a profit. So we have assessment tools that are on Productivity SA website. I'm going to tell you exactly where to get them. And then you can measure the productivity in your business. We can also show you how to do this. And then there are programs that you can go through. And the list there's an absolute beautiful portfolio of programs available that, depending on where you are in your productivity of your business, you can go through. Then ultimately, there's productivity improvement programs that if you want to go for best practice and you want to compete in the productivity awards, which we host annually, then you showcase your business, you showcase your success, and other entrepreneurs can then learn from you. And then we have business turnaround solutions, which is when things go wrong in business. We have funded by the UIF program that looks at productivity interventions to help businesses in distress. So ultimately, if you go to our website, www.productivitysa.co.za, you will find these programs. But there's a special take home for today and for rewarding you for your time. I think ultimately one has to know about opportunities. Now, there's a program that I'm the sponsor of at Productivity SA. It's called the Itukise program. It is funded by the National Skills Fund through the DTIC, and Productivity SA is the implementation body thereof. Now, in a nutshell, what this program is a work readiness program on a national basis. So every single province has some opportunities on this program where you can participate should you be considered, because obviously there's just a couple of spaces on programs like this. But I would like to invite you to send your CV. I'm going to share my details with you, to send your CV, a cover page of why you want to participate in a work readiness program. So motivate it, be an ambassador. Motivate why you want to participate, and then a copy of your qualification or your diploma. And then you just send it, and I'm going to share it on the side, and we'll share it afterwards. Send it to itukise@productivitysa.co.za. We will then consider these applications, and should you be successful, obviously we get back to everyone who applies. We will get back to you, but not everybody can be placed. We then place the successful graduates with host entities for workplace experience. You receive a stipend, a form of payment, and that's depending on where you are placed in this business. There's a standard stipend, but it really depends on whether you go for the graduate or the intern program and how far you are with your qualification. And that's how the application process works. This process then proceeds for a year, and then you get work experience, get a stipend, and you get to participate in the Productivity SA Champions program. Now, because we place you with these host entities where you gain work experience, ultimately, it's going to be up to you what you do with it. Are you going to participate? Are you going to be there on time? Are you going to be an asset to the entity that you or the host that you're placed with? Are they going to want to appoint you after this? Do you want to be appointed? All of these choices ultimately will be yours, but you have to take the first step. So the first step is go to our website, and after this, we'll share a form that you can complete if you are interested, and then scope out the opportunity. But if you're not placed, don't be devastated, because this is then the first step in your journey of looking for opportunities like this. So I want you to look at our website. I want you to look at what we have on offer, and I want you to consider participating in this program. And so ultimately making use of platforms like this. I'd like to reiterate to one of the previous speakers where it was said that, you must make use of online platforms like this free of charge. There are thousands of webinars that are being run daily. I'm inundated with webinars. And I think from a Productivity SA perspective, I'd like you to look at the list that we also have available, because we also host these webinars for free, and there's a lot of opportunities for graduates, but it's up to you what you do with it. So I'd like to thank you for your time. I've had many opportunities in life, and I've had many mentors and coaches, and I hope you do the same thing. I hope you make use of opportunities. Thank you for giving me your time.
Thank you so much, Leilani. Thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. So that website again is www.productivitysa.co.za. That email address to enroll in that work readiness program is itukise@productivity.co.za. To those that maybe are struggling to spell Itukise, it's ITUKISE. That's itukise@productivity.co.za. This is a fantastic opportunity. Grab it with both hands, and good luck to the graduates. So we're going to be moving over to our next speaker. I'm very excited about this young lady. Her name is Gwena Mabuja. She is Next Gen Director at the African region. She joins us right now, and the floor is yours, Gwena. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ntombi. It's so good to be here, addressing the graduates. And, I just want to say thank you to Think Career for convening this career Indaba. I think now more than ever, we are having to have this conversation and to just share with the graduates online in terms of what's going on in the world and what that means for work and the future of work. So I'm so very happy to be here. I'm going to try and share my screen as well. So hopefully, yeah, this will connect. Right, so, okay. Trying to share my screen. I don't know if you can see my screen as yet.
Not as yet, Gwena.
Okay, so while that's loading, I am sharing. It says I'm sharing, but while that's loading, so yes, my name is Gwena, and I work for a company called SAP. And whenever I speak in South Africa, I always have to differentiate. SAP is not the South African police, so I don't work for the police. But SAP is basically a global technology company where we provide enterprise software that helps organizations to manage their business processes from all aspects, whether it be HR, production, marketing, sales, logistics, end to end. We basically work with companies to provide software that can help them to manage these business processes, and then also taking into account, the new technologies like AI, blockchain, and the like. How do we bring all of those into organizations to help them become more efficient and measure and how business is going? So that's what we do. Just an interesting statistic, about 70% of the world's revenue, the entire world's revenue, touches an SAP system at some point. So that's just to give you a bit of scope in terms of what SAP does. Yes, not the South African police, SAP, the technology company. And what I do for SAP is I look after all the purpose portfolio for SAP. So this is everything linked to sustainability, and how do we then, answering the question, how do we mainstream sustainability so that, we are able to achieve goals like the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, and having organizations that are very intentional about achieving purpose, and that being part of business models. So that's what I do for SAP, and I look after this portfolio for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And today, specifically to all the graduates, I'm here to talk about, how do we prepare you for now? Dombi, I don't know, can you see my slides?
No, I can't see your slides at all.
Okay. Gosh. Let's try this again. Just 1 second. I'm going to try it once more, and then if we cannot share, then I will just continue.
And maybe if we struggle, we'll make the slide available to the graduates so that they can look at it at their own time.
For sure. I don't know, can you see it now? I've just reshared. But if not, yeah, I'll just continue.
Please continue.
Okay, perfect. So I think, everyone online, I think we can all agree that we are finding ourselves in really unprecedented times. There's no map for this one. This is, I would say, maybe, the biggest challenge for our generation in terms of, the coronavirus, and how it has fundamentally shifted our lives, both from a personal perspective and a professional perspective. And, all of this is coming and challenging us to, adapt and to change how we view things and how we are facing society. And of course, with this, we have certain complications and challenges that are coming about. And, we are forced to actually reimagine how we will hold ourselves in the world. And I think that also, has a big weight in terms of the future of work and what we need to think about in terms of the workplace. So for me, I'm just here about to share certain perspectives around how you should think about preparing yourself for the new normal, this now, right? And of course, we cannot have this conversation without understanding, what is the impact of this virus, right? So with everything that we do, we have to sit within a specific context and understand that context, right? So what is the impact of this virus? In terms of business, of course, we're seeing business continuity being impacted, right? And for me, it's like, I just think about, the local store where I go and buy my dresses, and how that is impacting that entire kind of network and supply chain. We're really forced to reimagine and to rethink what business looks like and what impacts business. And and really that also requires us to adapt as workers, right? And to also shapeshift and reskill and upskill ourselves in a different way. I think the previous speakers have spoken extensively around, what the future of work will look like. And I think just as young people, as graduates that are entering the workforce, I just want to say that it's not enough anymore to just rely on your qualifications. So your degree, all of that. We need to become adaptable and to really bring value. One of the previous speakers spoke about, output versus input. So, employers are now looking at, what can you do? And can you adapt in terms of the changing environment? So virus has definitely impacted how businesses continue, how business models are changing, and then of course, how workers need to change to adapt to that. And then I think one of the other things as well is, around supply chains. So I mean, my iPhone went in for repairs just before lockdown, and it still hasn't arrived because they can't get the parts, right? So this virus has really impacted on how businesses are operating. And then of course, working from home, remote working. I think some of you are also still studying, so also how does that adapt? Everything is now remote. The UN says that 1.5 billion kids are now sitting at home, and trying to work and learn from home. And we all have that situation where we are zoomed out, and where we also have disruptions, right? So where I live, we have chickens. So sometimes when I'm having a meeting, the chickens come in and they make a noise outside my window, and with other people it's like children are coming in, pets, so we have to adapt in terms of how we are actually working from a day-to-day perspective. And then I think, also contextually, just the impact of the virus is also impacting, us as humans. So I think, having to adapt our behavior to maintain physical health. So all of the things around social distancing, um, how do we adapt, our behavior towards that? And then, of course, we know that businesses are also, starting to close. And, McKinsey says that about 60% of small businesses will close due to COVID-19. So, of course, we have to consider that in terms of, unemployment and poverty and hunger, just as humans. But also there's the emotional impact of the virus. So we're seeing increased cases of, anxiety and depression all around the world. And, we have to keep mental health in mind. And that also, impacts in terms of how we show up in the world of work, and how do we manage that stress and the anxiety that is coming with all these changes that are there with result to COVID-19. And then, I also want to touch on a certain aspect. So one of the previous speakers spoke about sustainability, and how, this COVID-19 is actually highlighting and accelerating, all of the gaps and issues that we face in terms of sustainability, whether it be like getting access to education, getting access to jobs, innovation, getting access to, just basic human rights. This virus is literally escalating everything that we are experiencing as a human race, right? And I just wanted to mention the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and this is something that all of you graduates should check out, because these it's like a framework that the United Nations has given to the world in terms of the major issues that we face as society, and also providing a framework for us to actually solve those issues. So for all you graduates that are entering the workforce, organizations are there to solve problems. That's why businesses come about, right? And we need to be very intentional and thinking about, what can I contribute in terms of solving the real problems that are there in the world, the real challenges, and what can I contribute as a young person towards that? So, I mean, there've been a few responses to COVID-19. We've seen that the government has stepped up in certain instances. Of course, we all know how we dread that dear South Africans talk from the president. But, you know, we're seeing that the government has stepped up. We're seeing that organizations are stepping up. You know, for me, it's like the likes of Unilever and SAB, you know, that have actually pivoted their production lines, for example, to produce sanitizer. And I think this is a great example just in terms of our thinking, or your thinking as young people entering the workforce, in terms of, you know, how do you creatively pivot in order to meet the current demand, right? So whereas Unilever or SAB can just shut down, you know, they decided to actually change their business model and focus on producing sanitizer, which is a need, right? And I think what I want to impress there is that, you know, everyone has something to offer. And now more than ever, you know, we are called to become more agile and more creative in terms of solving problems. And I think that is what will be needed going forward in terms of the future of work. So, I mean, you know, Churchill said that we should not waste a good crisis, right? And I just want to impress to everyone that, you know, there's always a silver lining. So with, you know, crises, you know, this gives us an opportunity to actually innovate, and it gives us an opportunity to solve the real challenges and to bring our creativeness into that innovation challenge in terms of solving, you know, the societal challenges that are coming about. And I mean, obviously, you know, the role of technology is becoming even more important. So, you know, the World Economic Forum tells us that in the next few years, 80% of jobs will have a tech aspect to them, right? So we cannot be afraid or ignore technology. This comes into play and is becoming very fundamental, particularly within the space of the coronavirus. If you look at human history, the coronavirus is really the first pandemic where technology and social media are being used on a very big scale in terms of, you know, keeping people safe, keeping people productive, and keeping people connected, right, while we are physically apart. So I just want to impress that, you know, with everything that you do, you should think of technology as an enabler at the heart of everything that you do, because it allows us to get scale, but also allows us to, you know, solve the certain challenges that are arising. I think one example that I love is in Ghana, where they are using drones to actually deliver, you know, medicines to clinics that are remote and in rural areas. And, you know, I think that we all know that technology touches us every day. If you're already at working, you know that you are using Zoom every single day. And by the way, the CEO of Zoom made like $4 billion in 3 months. So the point that I'm making there is that technology is at the heart of everything, right? And we should not negate the role that technology can play. And particularly as young people, as graduates entering this workforce, I mean, you guys are actually, you know, technology natives, right? I mean, you grew up with technology, you know how to use it in different and interesting ways. And I think that's one of the value adds that young people can bring into organization is, you know, how you think about technology. So with that, I know that, you know, during lockdown, we've got various hashtags, you know, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag stay home, stay safe. But, you know, for you guys, I just want to leave you with 3 hashtags that I think we should get trending during this time. And so the first hashtag is stay innovative, right? Stay innovative, hashtag stay innovative. So this is around, you know, thinking about, you know, what can I creatively bring to an organization in terms of my understanding of the world and the skill set that I have. How do I creatively come in and adapt, right? And how do I produce an outcome that is compelling and is needed and is value bringing, right? And how do I adapt to the current situation? I mean, you know, it's so dynamic, guys. Like, you know, no one expected our president last week to announce, you know, alcohol ban with immediate effect. And so what employers are also going to be looking for is the ability to quickly adapt and to innovate given a very changing and dynamic environment. So stay innovative. And then secondly, the next hashtag is stay skilled, hashtag stay skilled, right? So like I said earlier, it's not enough anymore for you to just rely on your degree. It's not enough. You need to be adapt and staying skilled in terms of, you know, the new requirements that are there in the market. So research, go and find what is the next skill that I think I would need to do my role better or to deliver better, and do research, right? So use that data to not only be on Instagram, but to go and do research and to upskill yourself. Luckily, these days, there are so many resources that are available for us to use, right? Udemy, YouTube, Coursera, Khan Academy, and other free opportunities to get skills. So use your time as well to reskill and upskill yourself so that you can be adapt and able to, you know, have the skill set that is needed to be in the future. And then lastly, the last hashtag is hashtag stay connected, right? And I think this is particularly important in that, you know, with this virus, I think we are impressed to become even more human and just for health, mental health, and networking. It's important now more than ever to actually use those opportunities. So I hope everyone listening has a LinkedIn profile, right? Where you go and state your professional experience and objectives, and where you can also go and meet people to network with that can help you in your career. So I think it's particularly important to network, but also just from a perspective of like being human, you know, it's recommended that, you know, we spend at least 15 minutes a day, you know, socializing, well, physically distancing but socially connected, right, with other humans, and that will go very well for you in terms of well-being and in terms of finding as well mentors. So for me, this is just a call to action to all of you. Now is the time for youngsters to rise. I think that being at home and isolating is giving more space for us to utilize the resources that are there to rise, and it's time to be brave and to act. And that's the call to action that I have for all of you listening, is to be brave and act, and to hashtag stay innovative, to hashtag stay connected, and to hashtag stay skilled. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Gwenna. That was absolutely amazing. She says these are the hashtags that should be trending over and above the ones that are currently trending, which is stay home, stay safe, stay innovative, stay skilled, stay connected. That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Gwenna, for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Ntombi. Bye.
All right, let's move on over to our next speaker. Her name is Ulsa Pakri. Hope I'm saying that correctly. She is talent management lead at Sanlam. She's about to, inspire and give information to our graduates. And if you have any questions for Gwenna, if you have any questions for the previous speakers, please don't hesitate, ask. And towards the end of the presentations, I'll definitely give time to do a Q&A. But right now, let's hear from Ulsa. We can hear you, but you sound far away. The sound is a bit muffled.
How about now?
Still very muffled.
I'm turning my sound up as much as I possibly could. Hoping you can hear me a little better.
Much better, much better. I think it was that beautiful scarf of yours covering the microphone.
I'll just hold on to it. Ntombi, thank you so much, and much appreciation to Think Careers as well for the invitation, and thank you for my fellow speakers joining us today, sharing a little bit of the minds with us. Really much appreciated. And to the grads, for me, just taking out the time to invest in yourselves and to be able to prepare for what's to come. And yeah, so they always say that luck is when opportunity meets your preparation. So that's a little bit of my message today. But before I start, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that I once was a graduate too with Deloitte, in fact, and Simbiso in the call right now. He was one of the leaders that I looked up to, and to share this platform with him is just an amazing, opportunity. So yeah, just feeling really great about that, and just wanted to share a bit of my heart, and I will do a little bit more of the sharing of the heart a bit later. But as mentioned, I am from Sanlam. I'm the lead for talent management at Sanlam Corporate. And maybe I'll just start off with what is Sanlam. I think just to clarify and ensure we're all on the same page. So Sanlam is a global financial services group operating in more than 40 countries. I'm not sure that a lot of people actually know that, but they share the values of integrity, innovation, courage, care, and serving with pride. And I think that is how we really, what we do is to help people really secure financial prosperity through insurance, financial planning, retirement, investments, and wealth creation. Now, I'm saying a little bit of this about Sanlam to you because I think there's sometimes a misconception about organizations where you think about them as a certain kind of industry, and we forget that there are support functions that go along with being in the sales business or in the business of financial prosperity. So the group is divided into 5 clusters, which is Sanlam Personal Finance, Sanlam Emerging Markets, Sanlam Investment Group, Santam, and Sanlam Corporate. And I specifically mention this to you because we do have a group graduate program where we have marketing, IT, human capital, and risk, for example. But then we also have very bespoke programs and academies, for example, like a CA graduate program, the Digital and Data Academy, the actuarial program that we also have going. And yes, we have been recruiting this year. And I believe that the actuarial program is actually still open until October. So just to give you a heads up around that. So please visit our careers page, either on LinkedIn or you can visit our website as well. I think, I just wanted to mention we are now, working through and living through this pandemic. And for me, what really gives me I'm just really happy to be a part of this group at the moment is it's really effective and actually has operated through the Great Depression and 2 world wars. And so there's a lot one can learn, yes, from people and how we are managing through the pandemic, but there's also a lot one can learn from organizations and how they remain effective and productive, during times like these. So for us, it's all really about, being strong and purposeful and creating the meaningful experiences for people, whether that be our stakeholders, the communities, or our employees. So like I mentioned, #, we've been recruiting and contributing to the economic prosperity, of South Africa. So I mentioned a little bit about the opportunities for grads. I think, I love what was said earlier on about don't waste a good crisis. And I think that is where Sanlam is at the moment when we're not in the business of wasting. So what we're doing now, we're using this opportunity during COVID also just to revamp our graduate programs and academies to ensure that we focus on the skills for the future. And when you're ready to rock and roll, when the market opens up a little bit, we are also more relevant and in the market, in South Africa and beyond. So that for me just paints a little bit of a happier picture of the future. I know sometimes it looks a bit gloomy, but just to know that there are organizations out there that are actively working, to create workplaces of the future for our future leaders. So on that, I wanted to share a little bit with you, maybe just some tips around, what we are looking for in our grads. And maybe before I do that, for me, it's just, my question to you is, after this pandemic, when we all come up for air, literally when we remove our masks, what will your story be? What will you tell your children and your grandchildren about the way you've navigated through this pandemic, and what opportunities you used during this time? So that's kind of my overarching kind of thought that I want to put into your mind is like, what will that story be? What will my story be? So on that note, for Sanlam, when we're looking for graduates or professionals to join us, we're looking for people who are resilient. I know we've spoken a lot about skills and what's going to be required in the future, but there are certain things that kind of it's the thread that runs throughout. And this is such an opportunity for you to build your ability to bounce back from difficult situations. How will you rebound from this pandemic? How will you have the grit? We want to know, like, do you have the guts to go on out there and really be proactive around your career and what you need to do? Practicing that resilience, taking initiative in your own life, and coming through that tenacity to really persevere through things. The second thing that we look for is collaboration, and my colleagues before me has spoken extensively about collaboration. For me, this time is this opportune for networking, nurturing your current relationships, and also building new relationships. So as we mentioned about the different platforms that are available for you to be able to connect with others, but connect intentionally. So it's not just about your presence online or on social media. It's about how do you create intention about what you're trying to do with your life and the kind of connections that you create. The next thing that we look for is people who cultivate innovation. So right now, my advice to you would be do something now that makes a difference, whether that is in the volunteering space, solve a problem in your community, because when you are going to be sitting at that table and someone like myself or one of the speakers are interviewing you, this is probably one of the questions that we are going to ask you to assess, what is your level of innovations, and do you take the opportunity, to find solutions to problems that currently exist. That's the mindset that we're trying to build. And also, at this time is, yes, we're talking robotics, we're talking about artificial intelligence, but I'm yet to see a robot that can imagine a world that does not exist and that can solve a problem that does not exist. And as I say, the future is in your hands. So this is your country, this is your life. You need to kind of find those opportunities for yourself. The next thing that we look for is learning agility and adaptability. And yeah, I'm not going to focus on what Simbiso and Dr. T and the speakers before me focus on, but it's really just, I want to focus on the unlearning. We're talking about learning new things. What about some of the things that are holding you back in your life? Holding you back from the future that you want? What are some of the habits that you currently have that you need to shift in order to be successful in what you want to do with your life? So it's relearning skills, unlearning things. And as Simbiso said, the future is not about a job. This future is about a skill and building a particular skill set that you can take with you when you do have to be flexible and adaptable around the kind of work that we do. So during this time, from a learning agility perspective, I would encourage you to, find your strengths and build those habits that can support the life that you want for yourself and post this pandemic. And, for me, I think one of the speakers mentioned about having, mentorship. For me, that has been one of the things that has driven my career and that has helped me. So I would encourage you to find a mentor to help and support you and to help transform your thinking, perhaps, in terms of what the future looks like. So for me, there's three things that really kind of stand out for me and I don't want to leave you with. And I'm going to leave it with P to the power of 3. So the first thing is be proactive. Take accountability for your life and the goals that you set for yourself. Be prepared for the opportunity when it does arise. And then live your purpose and your potential. That is sort of my message that I have for you right now. Keep calm is what they say. Keep calm and keep on keeping on, because that is what's going to be required, from for you to be able to persevere and make a success of the life that you have been dreaming of. And on that note, I just want to share a little bit of my heart with you, if you'd allow me. I just want to kind of also balance out the idea of, sharing my head, but also my heart with you, because I know that it is tough out there, and I just wanted to share some words with you. Okay, so during this time, I want you to take a moment with yourself. Love your neighbor and love yourself. The simple things will bring you wealth. Make the most of every day you're alive. Live, strive, thrive, and surprise. Ignore the monkey in your head and don't leave important things unsaid. Be careful with your words, be kind, forgive, let go, and have peace of mind. Dream and live a life that you admire. Paint a lasting legacy, inspire. Find joy in everything and laugh. Life is a dance unchoreographed. Your heart is yours, be honest and sincere. Have no fear and breathe love into the atmosphere. Believe in yourself, a gift that is real. Use your light to transform, to reveal, and to heal. Whether things do or don't always go your way, stay in the moment and remember to pray. Maybe one day you'll fail or fall, get up, take a bow, and then walk tall. You are never alone. You have the spirit of your breath to guide and comfort till your journey's rest. There's nowhere in this world you don't belong. Connected to everything, one hum, one song. Approach the block with humility and grace. Stay in your lane and swim your own race. Doing the backstroke, smile, you are weightless. Always be grateful and celebrate your greatness. Thank you, everyone.
You definitely have left your heart on the stage. Thank you so much for sharing your mind as well as your heart with us. I appreciate you, and I'm sure all the graduates appreciate the fact that you gave us your heart towards the end of your presentation. Thank you so much. That was Alsa Pakri, who is talent management lead at Sanlam, basically telling us that Sanlam is employing, and that you need tenacity, and you need to reimagine this world, and let's all do it together. Thank you so much, Alsa. We're going to move on to our next speaker. I have some really good news to those that absolutely love and adore Vusi Tebegwayo. He has actually agreed that he will join us a bit later on, so we are still connecting with him. If you've been here since the beginning, you would know that we started off with him, and unfortunately, due to connectivity, we couldn't experience what he had prepared for us today. However, we're going to move on to our next speaker. His name is Siya Makibi, who is the Executive Director, Corporate, External and Legal Affairs. This is at Microsoft, and the floor is now his. And if Siya is ready, our graduates are ready.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you, however, I can't see you.
Can you see me now? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you and I can see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Tommy. Are you going to share my slides from your side, or should I do that from my side?
Can you please do that on your side? It's just easier because you will then flow according to your presentation.
Okay. Just trying to figure out how do I do that on this platform.
No problem. While you do that, let me just give our graduates a bit of your background. Now, Siya Makibi is the Executive Director responsible for Microsoft's Corporate, External and Legal Affairs in South Africa. Now, his work today is focused on supporting Microsoft sales and business operations in South Africa and helping customers and both private sector to navigate novel regulatory and policy issues that have surfaced as a result of transition from traditional on-premise software solutions to hyperscale cloud and digital transformation services. That's essentially what Siya does on a day-to-day basis. You call him, they call him an executive director. I call him a superhero.
Thank you for that intro, Toby. Are you able to see my screen now?
I'm able to see you, but I'm not able to see your presentation.
Okay, let me try this.
To our graduates that are with us at the this year's virtual career Indaba, if you have any questions, and I've been receiving some questions, we will have a Q&A towards the end of the session, and I'll be asking questions that you have asked, and the speakers as well as our guests will give you the answers. So continue sending questions, especially if there's something that you need clarity on, especially if you need guidance on something specific. And I will definitely be your mouthpiece, and I'll ask the questions on your behalf.
Am I winning, Tombi?
No, you are not. I'm going to ask Kani Mhlongo to assist. Maybe perhaps you can just give us a bit of a brief as to who you are and what you'll be sharing today.
Okay, I think it's on now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that very warm introduction. So I'm going to be sharing with you today and with the rest of the graduates a program that Microsoft has launched worldwide. It's called the Global Skills Initiative. Microsoft's mission is to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. And in the current environment that we find ourselves in, we interpret this particular statement to mean that empowering every person is to ensure that we skill as many people as possible. We ensure that we spread knowledge to as many people as possible, and that we create opportunities to succeed in the digital economy to as many people as possible. This has brought into very sharp focus the arena of digital skills. This is an area that I think has always been important, but I think with the challenges that we see that were brought about by COVID, digital skills have become even more. And you might ask yourself a question, why now? And I think there's a three-step approach that we take to that. There's a problem that we need to solve now. I think the globe is going through a global economic crisis. I think current projections say that about 75 million jobs have been lost around the world. I know in South Africa that I think we're talking about a figure close to 5 million, if not above. We're talking about an unemployment rate that has moved from something like 26% before COVID to excess of 31% currently. And we know that more than 50% of the people that are unemployed or affected by unemployment in South Africa are young people. These are people that are younger than 35. So these typically are the majority of the audience that we have on this call today. So that's the global economic crisis that we find ourselves in right now. And what is the world that we're going to return to once this crisis is over? I think the reality is that we're going to be returning to a very different economy. You would have known that even before this crisis, the world was going through what we call digital transformation. And what we mean by that is essentially where everything and how we do business, how we live our lives was already changing. We're already moving from using manual processes to moving to automated processes. We're moving from manual processes into digital platforms. We're moving from manual processes into online platforms. And what COVID has done is to really accelerate that process. Projections are that the digital transformation that would have taken place in the next 2 years has literally taken place over 3 years. I'll tell you, at Microsoft, for instance, we have a similar platform that we're using today, which is called Teams, which is a collaboration platform very similar to the one we're using right now. And the transformation that we've had with that platform, because COVID has effectively forced us to do remote working, the transformation that has happened over the last 3 months, we had not anticipated that it was going to happen. The projections at Microsoft were that we were going to reach a certain level of Teams uptake in the next 2 years, but that has now literally happened over 3 months. And that is really the pace with which COVID is accelerating digital economic transformation. So when we do return back to what we call normal, if we'll ever have normal again, we're likely to go back to what we call a hybrid economy, where a lot of people will go back to work, physically be going to work. But the new normal would also be that a great majority of people will now start working from home. And that was what COVID has really, that's a space that COVID has really opened up, that people feel comfortable to work at home. They are more productive working at home, and they've adapted to challenges of working from home. So we're going to be returning to a different economy, and we're going to be returning to a different world, a hybrid world, where quite a lot of people now will no longer need offices. I think Siemens announced very recently, about 3 days ago, that going forward, they will allow their staff to work for 3 days a week anywhere where they want to work from in the world. And I think that's the part, and that's the practice that you're going to see a lot of companies take. But what is it going to take to fit into that world? I think we're going to see an intensified skilling challenge, because what that really means now, with everything going online, with everything becoming digital, if you do not have digital literacy skills, you're going to be left behind in this economy, in this new world that we're going into. So the reality of our lives going forward is that even your most basic jobs, even your most entry-level jobs, are going to require that we have some sort of digital literacy skills. And that's the new world that we're going into. At Microsoft, what we've done is we've launched what we call the Global Skills Program, which is an immediate skilling initiative to reach 25 million people across the globe. And what we've done there, we've taken a 3-step approach. It's a very comprehensive approach, but it's going to rely on 3 fundamental and major steps. The first thing that we've done there is we've taken the data that we've seen around the world. We've done data analytics to better understand what are the jobs that are in most demand around the world. What are the most jobs that are in demand in South Africa right now? And what will be the jobs that are in most demand post-COVID in South Africa? So I will share a list of those jobs with you just now, I think on the next slide. But that's the first exercise that we've taken. We've used the data that we have, we've used analytics that we have to better understand what is the demand for jobs and what are the opportunities therefore going forward. What we've also then done is we've created a free access to skilling resources from across Microsoft, from LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you'll know, is the biggest job networking platform in the world, and from GitHub. GitHub is a Microsoft company that really provides a platform for software developers across the world using open data. And we've used Microsoft content itself to create a free access for people to be able to learn the skills that are required for the jobs I'm going to talk about right now, which are the jobs that are most in demand in South Africa. So all those 3 companies have created a single platform that will then enable people to access skills that will then enable yourself to be certified to go into the jobs that are in demand and that will continue to be in demand going forward. And then the last thing we've then done on this portal, on this platform, is to create a very powerful a tool that will then connect people who would have accessed these skills for free, who will then have been certified, receive a Microsoft certification. The current projection that we're looking at right now is that your high-end certification, industry certification, will be about $15. So once you then receive the certification, you will then be linked to a very powerful tool that will link you to employers in South Africa that are looking for people with the skills that belong to the 9 jobs that I will highlight just now as being the most jobs that are in demand at the market. So it's a 3-step approach. We use data analytics to analyze which jobs are in demand. We've created a free access to skills that will enable you to get those jobs and to be certified to be employable for those jobs. And the third thing we've done is we've created a tool that will then link you to employers that are looking for people who have that certification, who have acquired those skills. So that's the exercise that we've done across the world, but we've zoomed it and we've customized it for South Africa as well, so that it speaks to specific skills and opportunities that exist in South Africa. If you look at this slide talks to the key and the main jobs that we think are the jobs that are in the highest demand currently, and the jobs that are going to be in demand going forward. If you look at that list there, you've got a customer service specialist, you've got data analyst, you have digital marketing specialist, you have financial analyst, you have graphic designers, IT support and help desk technicians, you have network administrators, you have project managers, you have sales development representatives, and you have software developers. Those 10 jobs are what we've settled on to be the jobs that have the most demand in the market right now. And therefore, the current learning paths, the rich material that we've provided across Microsoft, across LinkedIn, across GitHub, will enable you to get skills for the jobs in demand and to also earn certificates of completion of the learning that you will receive from those from that portal. For advanced skills, for 3 of the roles, if you go to Microsoft Learn, you will also get a certification there. Those advanced skills roles are data analyst, network administrator, and software developer. These are the jobs in demand, but they are at the high end from a skills perspective. And again, the learning paths that we have created will enable you to get certification to be able to take up these jobs, and will link you to a tool that will then expose you to employers that will know that you have certification in these 10 jobs, particularly the 3 high-end skills jobs. Then that will enable you to be and increase the probability of employment. I think this slides really just talk to together the content helps job seekers and practice skills. So what we're doing is we're combining both the theory and we're also exposing job seekers to practice. There's something called work readiness, and some people call it internship. And we've seen quite an acceleration of demand of internships by employers. And the reason for that is because most graduates, especially those that have done IT, you would have noted that by the time you get to the 3rd year of your IT degree, a lot of the stuff that you learned on 1st and 2nd year has effectively become irrelevant, because the market changes so much. Technology changes so quickly in the market that it's difficult for our curriculum to be able to keep up with the changes that happen from a technology perspective. So a lot of employers look or introduce what we call internship, and the idea for that is before you go into full employment, you go somewhere where you get work ready skills, skills that essentially then prepare you to land on the job and to be able to do that job from day one. So the combination of the learning path that we've created here for job seekers will take into account precisely that factor. So it is a combination of theory and will expose you to practice as well, so that you are as work ready can be by the time you get the certification from the learning paths that we have created. This slide just it speaks to the tools to help job seekers get hired. To the end of the year, free access to LinkedIn. So essentially, we will do these learning paths will be provided to job seekers, to people that are trying to acquire these skills for free until the end of this year. So that is phase 1 of the Global Skills Initiative. Phase 2 of this program will focus on people that are already in jobs, but who find themselves in a situation where, because of the digital transformation, their jobs have changed so significantly that they either need reskilling or some sort of upskilling. But that was phase 2, but that is targeting people that are already in jobs. Phase 1, which is what we're talking about now, which is what we're going to be rolling out between now and end of the year, is targeting job seekers, people who either have no skills digitally or have some skills but are looking to advance and upskill themselves so that they can be employable for the high-end jobs that I mentioned earlier on. And we're going to be running this program for free, allowing people access for free, allowing people to be able to connect to the tools that expose them to employers for free until end of the year. And I think this slide also just, I think this slide will be shared. Again, it just gives you a sense of what you're going to see once you've connected onto the learning paths and the different streams that have been created there for you. I think as a software developer, you'll find that there's a particular stream that you need to follow. There's a particular rich content that you need to absorb to get ultimately to a point where you get certified as a software developer. And the nice thing about all of this is that this is stuff you can do online. You don't have to go physically anywhere to do this. If you can get access to your computer and get access to data, this is stuff that you can do at home, or you can do anywhere where there's a Wi-Fi connectivity if you don't have sufficient data sitting at home. So it's all packed up so that it gets done online from beginning to end. So right from the start all the way up until you get certification, and then link you up to the tools that will then get you connected to employers that are looking for people that are certified in the skills that you'd have acquired. So it's a program that is designed to scale, and we're targeting millions of people that would come into this program. Of course, we don't have millions of jobs out there, but the way the tool has been designed is that if you have certain particular skills, particular certifications, it will become that much easier for people to then position themselves for this digital transformation. And Tombi, I think that's my last slide, and that's really the kind of program that I think we want to propose to all the job seekers here, to all the graduates that are going to be looking for opportunities in the information technology industry, so that they can become a part of the digital transformation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Siyama Kibi. He is the Executive Director for Corporate External and Legal Affairs at Microsoft. What an insightful presentation, especially the part that, details the jobs of the future. Thoroughly enjoyed that. If you have any questions for Lucia, the moment has come where we open that up. It's Q&A time. And if you have any questions, and I've received a few questions coming through from our graduates, this is the moment now where we answer those questions to our speakers. Some unfortunately had to go because they have, other engagements. So we have had to let them go. But the ones that are here, I'm hoping they'll be able to assist and be able to answer the questions. Let's go straight to the Q&A section. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Alta, there's a question for you. The question is coming from Dr. V. Dr. V says, Alta, how can nonprofits focused on skills training in innovative areas collaborate with Sanlam? How can nonprofit focused on skills training and innovation areas collaborate with Sanlam? I'm assuming that question speaks to, is Sanlam open to collaboration with other organizations or individuals?
Can you guys all hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, great. So thanks so much for that question. Sanlam definitely is open to collaboration, specifically to enhance the communities where we serve. I would maybe advise that you rather give me an email, and I can put you in contact with the Sanlam Foundation or with connect you with the right person to chat with about specific opportunities.
Fantastic. There's another question, and this one is open to any of our speakers if they feel comfortable in answering. It's from Ogugu Msibi. Gugu asks, talent reskilling. What are skills that make graduates, professionals, and job seekers more compatible and employable on the market during this time? Should I repeat that question again? Let me repeat it again. What are skills that make graduates, professionals, and job seekers more compatible and employable on the market during this time? So what are some of the things that your organizations or different organizations would gravitate towards when they're looking at someone's CV? Who's going to take that question?
I'm happy to go, and my colleagues can maybe just jump in.
Go ahead.
I think specifically, from we spoke about the unlearning, and we spoke about the reskilling as well. But maybe something that is happening for the future, and I spoke about the Digital and Data Academy that Sanlam has started now. So if you think about where the world is going, the kinds of jobs that has been spoken about from the rest of the panelists as well, is to identify what are the skills that actually go with that job. So for example, I can tell you analytics is something that is going to be part of the future no matter what you do. Whether you're in human capital, we are making decisions, data-led decisions now. And so it's how do you marry the art of things with the data to back it up. So that's definitely one of the skills that I think is necessary for the future. And again, with regards to innovation, being able, your design thinking, the way you think about solving problems is also something that is going to be key in every kind of job and every kind of role that you think of for the future. Colleagues, over to you if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Go ahead, Lalani.
Thank you so much. I just think, again, coming back to your time, as a graduate, you must just learn to manage your time effectively, plan your days, make sure that you are goal-orientated. Don't just do something for the sake of doing it. Don't sleep late for the sake of sleeping late. Don't stay up late for the sake of sleep. Make sure that your time is linked to goals and that you measure your goals. It is absolutely important to be the most productive you can be if you want to achieve something in a very turbulent ecosystem. So I just think from a productivity SA perspective, set goals for every single day, checklist, and reward yourself.
Fantastic.
I just want
Yes,
to
go
build on
ahead.
what Leilani was just saying, and it speaks to the habits I spoke about earlier on. So what can you unlearn now and reskill yourselves in, to create space for the person you want to be, for the opportunity that you want? I always say, it's like right now you can't move forward, you can't, go onwards, you can't go upwards, but you can go inwards. And so create those habits now that will set you up for a great future.
That's fantastic. So we're going to move on to Tantia Fari from SHL, raising her hand there. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I would just like to concur for what my fellow panelists said, that our research definitely shows that, get yourself digitally skilled. It's definitely the way to go. But then from a behavioral perspective, don't for 1 minute discount what you as a graduate bring to any organization, any team. We in business love seeing graduates join our teams because you're innovative, you come with fresh ideas, and you need to capitalize on that because that is really your secret sauce. And going forward, and we'll discuss it at the end of this panel, we with Think Career would like to help graduates in how to position themselves when they go for interviews, etc. It definitely is a passion of SHL and our team here as well.
And that's exactly what I was going to move on next to. Q&A time is over. However, if you still have questions, we are in direct communication with our speakers, and we will direct those questions to them, and they'll be able to answer them. But right now, we're joined by Kani Mhlongo from Think Career. We're also joined by Tantia Fari from SHL, and they've got some really good news for our graduates who've been so patiently, absorbing all the information they've been receiving. I'm going to hand over to you, ladies. Kani, we can't hear you.
I'm still on mute. Apologies. Thank you so much, Ntombi, and to all our guests for actually sticking around with us. We 13 minutes over our time. I just wanted to say that we are absolutely grateful that we were able to host this particular, I don't want to call it a webinar because there's a lot of webinars out there. For us, it was really a drive to actually try and engage and connect with our unemployed graduates, because prior to COVID, we've been in recession. Graduates have been going through a lot of challenges. During my time as a graduate, being a graduate was always a challenge. And to find a graduate program in any company, it's always a challenge. But we connected and partnered with SHL to really understand what are some of the challenges around graduates. So most of them, they graduate, as Dr. T spoke about, skills development, and also what the NSA advocates for. They advocate for skills development in our country. And the question is, where are we missing out as a country? Because more often, pardon me, almost on a yearly basis, we're churning out a lot of graduates, but somehow we struggle to get them into the labor market. And the question is, how do we actually better prepare the graduates to be able to access the labor market a lot more easier, with confidence, and be able to showcase their knowledge? Because more often graduates they come with the knowledge and they need to acquire the skills which are required. So in partnership with SHL, and we've been working quite closely with Tantia, we've decided to host a series of masterclasses which will prepare the graduates to enter the labor market. But also, we're very excited about the Microsoft initiative. I mean, that is a complete game changer in terms of preparing, because we're not going to be in the COVID-19 mode forever. Best we start rethinking and reshaping the skills that will be required, because we are already finding ourselves in a digital economy. and that will require brand new skills. And what does that mean for the many South Africans who might not have had the access to focus on certain qualifications and so forth, as well as what Productivity SA is doing around their Itukisa program. That program enables graduates to be able to go and gain the required skills with employers. So we wanna actually make sure that access to these available opportunities are known, and hence we've actually hosted this particular drive to say, if there are opportunities available out there for graduates, and now it's no longer for graduates, it's also for job seekers, because a lot more people are facing retrenchments. So how do we actually make sure that we gain new skills so that we can re-enter the job market with new skills? And that's the purpose of Really Today. So I'm just going to hand over to Tentia before I close off about the other unlocking that we're going to be launching from Monday onwards. Tentia, over to you.
So thank you. So just briefly, SHL, I'm sure any or many of you have at some point in your careers done psychometric assessments. It's always seen as a bit of a daunting thing. So at SHL, we help leaders across the globe to make unbiased decisions. And certainly most of the programs in South Africa do psychometric assessments as well. So we have what we call Impact Week on a global basis for SHL. And this is an initiative where we give back to the community, giving time. This year we have to do it very differently. So one of the initiatives is partnering with Think Career, where we're going to have an opportunity where graduates can actually do psychometric assessments, a personality assessment, so that we as industrial psychologists are able to give feedback to those candidates so that they can understand what are the strengths and the capabilities that they bring to the table, and that they can leverage off those strengths, play to those strengths. How do they position themselves in interviews, etc.? I think often so many people do assessments and they never get feedback. So this is really an opportunity for us to bridge that gap. We're also going to be doing masterclasses where we will be having sessions to assist graduates in how to prepare for interviews, how to look at their CVs, and just sharing some of our insights and knowledge as well. I think two things that have been great from our perspective that we're very excited about is that we've also positioned that most of our assessments are now mobile enabled, and most organizations that we partner with are able to, in South Africa, push data to you as the graduates, so that it's not costing you money to apply for a role. And I think that's a great initiative in light of where we are at the moment, because certainly digital is the way to go, and even beyond COVID, more and more you're going to have access to more data, and you need to make yourself more relevant as well. So thank you for the initiative.
Thanks. So over and above all these exciting tools that we're sharing with everyone, we will be opening up the system as of Monday for graduates and job seekers to be able to create professional CVs for free. And in that way, we can also offer online coaching sessions if you need to actually delve deeper in terms of what you have put into your CV. So we will be focusing a lot more. And the focus really is not on CVs. The focus will be more around what skills do you have? What do you have to show when you go out there and want to re-enter the job market? And with all that we've shared today, I think it sort of complements each other. The Microsoft, the Productivity SA, Sanlam is currently recruiting. I'm sure there's specific requirements they're looking for. And also from a national skills development point of view, there's a lot of initiatives where we're rethinking, reshaping, and understanding what are those skills that will be required in the digital economy. And I'm sure we already know, but it's about how do we reignite it and open it up. And Microsoft is coming on board to say, these are the 10 programs which you can now access for free and get certification on. And we will still help you to re-enter the market in terms of advertising your skills. So that's it from our side. So what we will be doing on Monday, we will be sharing all the presentations, all the links, as well as reopening the platform on Monday so that everyone can get started. So we didn't want this to become another talk show. We want people to take action and start. So as much as we are stuck in our homes, let's use the time to reinvest in our skills. Let's develop ourselves. Let's get ready. Let's get ready. Let's get ready. Let's get ready post-COVID. So that's it from my side. And thank you so much to all our speakers. Thank you, Ntombi, for really working with us on this, and all the companies and the partners who participated in this. We really appreciate it. And to those who managed to stick for the 2 hours, so we jam-packed a one-day work program into 2 hours. So thank you so much for sticking around. That's it from my side.
Kani, before I let you go, where can the graduates access the program that you just spoke about, the writing of a free CV? Where can they go?
So via our social media, we will be posting all communication. So it will be available from Monday. So on our website, it's think-career.co.za. That's where you will access all the tools, all the information you need from Monday. We just need to package everything for you. Monday, you can start accessing, but you don't have to wait. Productivity SA Itukisa program is open. We've shared the email. Microsoft is open. Get going. It's available. Sanlam's applications are now open. Go to the Sanlam Careers page, access it. And the Think Career Masterclass application process will start on Monday. The free CV platform will open on Monday.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you so much, Kani, for putting together this wonderful, wonderful, platform where we just, inspire, just share whatever it is that we can share with our graduates. And all the best of luck to our graduates that spent over 2 hours listening to this. Thank you so much to everybody.